Alice, how are you?
Hey Josh, how you doing?
Yeah, great, thank
Okay.
you. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak to you for this film because it really one that took me by surprise. And I'm wondering for you as an actor coming on board a project like this, what did you enjoy about that challenge of translating a character who, originates from the 1700s and bringing him into the present day in such an exciting way?
Well, I guess I didn't know I hadn't read the source material before. I put my hand up. So when I read the script, I didn't necessarily have like the reference, but I loved what Jose, the writer and director, had created. It was a character that I found it very funny. I was just very into it. It was something I hadn't played before. It was something that I thought I could have a lot of fun with. And yes, then going back and seeing all the references, then realizing all the references and all the little details in the movie that he'd put in to reference the original work, I thought was so clever. Um, yeah, and then just to get to work with Jose and really I just got to play around a lot. I had a lot of fun making this film for sure.
Oh, fantastic. And of course, he's out to steal Charlotte from Albert, but he's not a bad guy by any means. He's just found what he thinks is his dream girl. But for you, how do you go about finding the right balance to make sure he is someone we can still root for in this film?
I mean, yeah, that was definitely one of the challenges with playing this character. And I guess it came through. I mean, conversations with the director, like working with Alison, also casting the right person to play Albert and Patrick Adams. Um, and I guess, yeah, I guess my job was just to push it as much as I could, but just to like imbue with it's like to really feel like him with this sense of like playfulness and naivety at times and good-heartedness, so that you kind of you still rooted for him. Um, and I hope you do. But I think it works, and I think just the chemistry between me and Alison and also Patrick. So it was just it's a sort of alchemy thing, I guess, that I can't really put your finger on. But it is also something you're aware of, and I walk over to the director at times and be like, is everyone just going to hate me in this scene, or like how far can I push this? How inappropriate can I be? Um, so yeah.
Amazing. And Werther, he's an incredibly, I think, well-dressed character, very well put together. So how important is that side of things to really find who he is as a person when you come onto a film like this?
Well, I mean, on any job, really, I think when you go into the costume fitting, it often is there's different phases for me of when a character becomes real. It's when it starts to form, and costume is a huge part of that because it's just something about putting on, whether it be a cape or a suit or whatever it is, that just it sort of informs you and it gives you it changes the way you stand or you move, um, or it's just kind of a piece of armor. Often like people that dress, it is a piece of armor. If you're putting on a suit, you're trying to cover yourself up in some way or make yourself appear something else. So it's either peacocking or it's defensive or it's all part of that character development. So it's very important, and it was fun on this one because we had a really talented costume designer, and we just went through. We had a lot of fun, and we went through and just got to play around with lots of different sense of bits of color and layering. And every morning when I came in, I'd always have a different costume. It would always just be really fun and great.
Oh, for sure. And of course, there's a great one of my favorite moments in the film. It is a scene with the dress. It's quite intimate, obviously, between you and Alison's character, and then it's really punctuated by a moment of comedy. So to have that balance, that must have been a lot of fun for you to sink your teeth into.
Oh, definitely. And this was, I think, one of the first comedies I've done. I mean, I've done bits and bobs before, but yeah, this was kind of a bit new to me in a way, and I loved it. It was so much fun, and also just getting to work with someone as talented as Alison. So it was just really fun, and we just really got on. So it was all just a great sense of play, really.
Yeah, and you mentioned Patrick before, and of course he is Werther's love rival in this film, and you get some great moments together. I think the shotgun scene, he takes him very much a fish out of water. So how much fun did you both have on set, and then just exploring that dynamic as actors as well?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick was the perfect person to play this character. because he see, I mean, he's a really fun guy, but he also is super sensible, you know. And I'm probably a bit, well, I guess I was probably leaning more, on set, leaning more into like the clumsiness, the ridiculousness of Werther. So it was just it was a great balance. He's such a solid, good guy, and so it was just fun to like bounce off that energy. Pat's the kind of guy that if you went to camping, he would know exactly how to work the fire and do the barbecue and everything. And I would just be stood there like I have no idea. So it was it was just it wasn't too much of a stretch, but then it was yeah, it's fun to lean into that. And he was so game. He was a great person to bounce off. But the shotgun scene really took on a whole new life. I was just messing around. Luckily, the gun wasn't really loaded. Otherwise, maybe the health and safety would have sort of called cut, I guess.
Absolutely. And, even though, like I said at the start, that this is obviously a modern interpretation of that book, but the dialogue in the film, I think, is still really very meaty and complex, almost like what you would find in a novel like that. So to kind of, is that something that really drew you to the script when it came your way?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and also what drew Jose to me, the director to me, because I don't know. I think him, even though I'm playing Canadian in the movie, I think he felt coming from England, having done some period stuff in the past, he wanted someone that could take on the dialogue and deliver it in a certain way. And although I think we completely strived and hopefully achieved, the naturalism, and that was the balance. You've got this at times. There's too many words in the sentence. There's more words in the sentence than there needs to be, but that's the point. He liked that kind of wordplay. So for me, it was sort of the challenge was to really get it down so I could waltz and do all these things while also just coming out with these ridiculously long sentences about albino squirrel concert galas and stuff like that. Because that was, and I think that was part of the charm of the script for me, and also one of the challenges, but also something that made, the character unique.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the waltzing actually, because I've read in other interviews that you actually had to do some lessons beforehand for that. So was that an unexpected challenge to take on?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I've done bits and bobs in the past, but I would say I'm a natural dancer. It takes me a minute to get my two left feet in order. But yeah, it was one of the first things we did, and it's a great way, I guess, to break down. When you first meet someone, when you're getting to know someone, you get to know someone you have to be quite intimate with and have this, relationship with. It's a great way just to break the ice from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, at the same time, another important relationship in this film, be it beyond the romance, is the friendship between Werther and Paul. And, shows are in this film, he's a fantastic character. But what did you
Mm.
enjoy by working with him and getting to find this dynamic? Because it's a very unique dynamic between friends, I think, very playful.
Yeah, it was, and we just got on like a house on fire, and we had some time before we started shooting in Toronto, and we took each other under each other's wing. I took one of my wing. We just went and just had fun really, and we really got on, and we just the dynamic felt very natural. And yeah, we just ripped on it, and we spent time rehearsing, and we spent time being silly together, I think there was a deep love and respect between the two of us in real life, which I hope translated to the screen. But yeah, I tried to take him under my wing as soon as he came, and he was also very supportive of me as a best friend on set when I was obviously, having to just being working all hours. He was always there and supporting me. So it was it was all a very natural thing that just happened. For
Oh,
sure.
that's great to hear. And just while I've got you, Douglas, I know a role a lot of people are excited for. You're going to be in the Sandman season 2 as Cluracan, I think. So, is there
Yeah.
anything you can tease about that one, and how excited were you to head into that world?
Yes, super excited. It's I have a lot of friends that are already working on the series and also were cast in this series, so it felt like a very friendly sort of place to go, because obviously it could feel a bit intimidating because it's such a big and beloved world. So to go and to spend a year shooting it was a great privilege. It was a lot of fun. It's the scale of the show is so huge, and it was really impressive how you know it felt like some of the bigger movies that I've worked on. The scale of the sets that they were building, the amount they've invested in it, the amount that the artisans who are creating it have put into it. And also the use of some of the greatest locations in the UK. You know, we shot around the UK in some really stunning, like Chatsworth House and places like that. So it was, yeah, it felt like the show had access to these incredible spaces around the UK, and they also built them and they integrated them. It was, I think they did Brighton Pavilion as well. So they really used some of these incredible spaces, and I love seeing how they integrated that into the Sandman world. And they twisted it in a way they just like tweaked it to make sense. So that was very cool. I think, yeah, I hope people will really love it. It looks gorgeous. It felt very fun. And my character, he's a hoot. Um, yeah, and I really enjoyed playing him.
Oh, looking forward to that one. But back to this film, Hollywood is lacking rom-coms these days. They don't come along very often. And, there's more to this film than that. There's this great character piece and so well written. But do you think to see a resurgence of that genre, we need more films like this that maybe do something different? And, you know, who would have thought a book based on the 1700s would turn into a film as good as this in the modern day? But it just works.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope so because some of my favorite movies are rom coms from the '90s, and yeah, I think and also just like movies starring Tom Hanks back in the day. Like there was not all of them are rom coms, but I just feel like there could be more movies of that ilk. And if even the fact that this movie is being talked about, it in that way is fantastic. But yes, I hope so because I enjoy making movies like this. So hopefully I can be in some more of them.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Well, I cannot wait for people to check out Young Werther because I had such a good time with this one, Douglas, and such a pleasure speaking to you. So thank you for taking the time today.
And thank you. Take care.
You too. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Bye.